What's up, everyone? It's Jeremy Majors here with Majors Academy Dog Training out of Green Bay, Wisconsin. We are live dog behavior Q&A, episode 147. And let me pull the mic close. That might help. Um, Episode 147, where this is a show where we answer all of your questions, as many as you got, to the best of our ability, and we will try and help you out. And remember that your questions will help others who may be struggling with the same challenges. So don't be shy. Ask questions. And like I said, I'll give you the best answer I can give you. Okay. So I hope everyone's having a wonderful Wednesday. We are not going to be here on Thursday, obviously, because we're here on Wednesday. But next week we should be back to regular schedule. All right. Let's answer some questions. Okay. Says any tips on how to get my 2-year-old German Shepherd to remain calm when guests visit? We make him greet and ask people to not pet him or look at him until he sits nice and calmly and waits. Once he's calm and then they pet him, he hops to his feet and swirls around, making figure eights, and will lean on their thighs. He doesn't jump, he just is happy. I worry that elderly people or little visitors, as he's just too busy-bodied with visitors. Thank you. Well, yeah. So my suggestion would be to make him wait longer, um, and because he's not being calm. He's being calm with his body language, but not his brain isn't calm yet. If that makes any sense. So it's still way too early, and it depends on how old the dog is. Well, I guess he's 2 years old, so I mean he's old enough to remain calm. But um, but some dogs have to almost realize that they may not even get the chance to uh, greet, and it's not about. Sometimes it's not about the dogs needing to say hi to everyone, or yeah, it's not about them. Um, it's not like their world is going to be rocked if they don't get to greet everyone. It could be their insecurity making them um, creating the need to see everyone and to manipulate everyone. Sometimes it can be manipulative via insecurity. And so my advice would be to wait a little longer to see what you get. Hell, the dog may not even want to greet if you wait long enough. You know, so a want versus need thing. Yes, some dogs greet because they wh- while they're happy greeting, they're also um, still in a way controlling the situation. So you want to evaluate that, and again, maybe free your dog the burden of having to go and greet the guest, especially German shepherds. So keep them on leash until the dog doesn't even look at them, doesn't even really, you know, is indifferent to the guests, and then take the dog off leash, and then let him greet, or don't let him greet. It's not like, okay, now you can greet, because then in a way you're still paying attention to the guest. You're still associating something with the guest, and it shouldn't be something you should uh make happen. It should just happen so that it has a chance not to happen, if that makes sense. So I'll kind of break it down. If someone comes in my house and I put my dog in a down, um, my goal isn't for my dog to go greet them. It's not like, Okay, now we're going to set a time aside for you to go say hi to my dog. It's like, no, if my dog wants to come say hi after it's been calm, so be it. If it doesn't, so be it. So we kind of, in a way, have to learn how to take away the anticipation and the association of when people come over, this happens, you know, and that's how you avoid reactivity. So for those of you who have a reactive dog, that's how you fight it. All right. Thank you for your question. Next question. How to introduce a fear aggressive dog to someone new that we need to use as a pet sitter for the week. Um, so real quick, you want to get the pet sitter to walk the dog with rules. The fastest way to get an insecure dog comfortable with comfortable with a person is to get that person to implement the structure and rules to your dog. It's not about necessarily getting the dog to be touched by the human that you want them to get used to. It's not about that for fear aggressive dogs. Fear aggressive dogs need space and the option not to be touched by people who they do not want to be touched by. And so, again, that's in a nutshell what I do every day. So, and I don't touch them. I don't go to touch them. I don't hand them treats. I just wait until they're ready and comfortable and wagging tail. Um, and then yeah, I engage with them, but I don't do so if they're not coming to me. I don't go to dogs to pet them. And in doing so, again, you allow them to be ready and comfortable with you yet, as opposed to most people who greet dogs. They don't give the dog the option to be touched or not. So that's the best way. Tell your pet sitter to take the dog for a walk. Start off with that, you know. Um, and the pet sitter doesn't have to pet the dog, um, because we know how Chase is. Just get him to get him used to moving around with him and taking direction from him, that sort of thing. All right. Thanks for your question. Okay. Next question. Was recently watching a dog that's a husky mix, and owners wanted me to work on pulling during walks. The dog is extremely long neck, and every tool tried slipped down the neck, became ineffective. Tried a prong collar slip lead, eventually just used a front clip harness. Suggestions. um, you can try a gentle leader. That's something that may work. That doesn't go along the neck. Also, you can try the prong collar, but taking the prong out, making sure that the prong is not able to go up and down, not able to move around that much. And then you can try what they call a dominant dog collar. And if you don't know what that means or what that is, Google it. But it's a pretty effective tool for dogs who pull. It's kind of like what they use. It's not what they use in AKC dog shows, but If you ever pay attention to AKC dog shows, you can hardly see those collars. Those collars are very thin, but the position of those dog collars in dog shows are where you would like your prong collar to be eventually. You really want your prong collar, or any collar for that matter, to stay up there, because the lower it goes, the more you're going to be working against the dog. So, so head leader or gentle leader, uh, and or tighten up the prong collar. That may help. But dog's a husky, made to pull. Genetics say, "Let me run, man." All right, you guys. Those of you who are watching live, please feel free to ask any question that you like. Um, no question is a bad question. Sometimes on YouTube, I'll get some really crazy, off the wall questions, but that's it. Instagram and Facebook, man, they're pretty awesome. But YouTube can get weird. All right, let's keep going. Hey, Jeremy, just adopted. Excuse me. Just adopted a 2-year-old mutt, and he barks a ton. What it would seem to be at nothing, um, especially at night. Any suggestions for how to train the dog not to bark? Um, so yeah, you'll have to reach the dog somehow. The easiest way is to get an electric collar and tell the dog to be quiet, and then with the electric collar, distract the dog with vibration or low level electronic stimulation. But the dog needs to see that you are going to make its environment certain, because when it's at nighttime, dogs are a little bit more alert. Uh, Naturally, obviously, it's dark, and they want to make sure if they perceive a threat, that the threat knows that the dog is there. And so at nighttime, they're a little bit more alert. You'll just have to add value to your word quiet, because at the moment, quiet or stop barking or no bark or shut up doesn't mean much to the dog. And you'll have to get that to mean what you want it to mean. So that'd be my approach. All right. Thank you for your question. Okay, let's keep going. We have miniature schnauzers, boys that aren't fixed and pee and crap in the house. One is 9 and the other is 4. Okay. Well, they're a little old to be doing that. Has something changed? I mean, I need more than that. I mean, hopefully it hasn't been 9 years of peeing and pooping in the house, or even just 4 years. I mean, even just 1 years. So they're boys, but they aren't fixed. So they may be competing for territory in a way. Um, but either way, a very basic guideline to um, getting dogs back on track is, for one, to make sure that they're not free feeding, so that you can manipulate their digestive system to and go to the bathroom when you want. That's the other thing, is that you want to make sure that they go outside on your terms and not necessarily when they want to. If you're letting them out 15 times a day, um, then you want to, again, make sure when you let them out that they pee and poop. And then one or two things got have to happen. Either you leave them out until they pee and poop, and or if they come back inside, then they are crated. But they should not. If you're trying to reteach dogs not to pee and poop in the house, they should not have free roam of the house until they have pooped and peed and played outside. You can put them up for another 10 minutes, take them back out, or whatever you want to do. But they should not be free feeding, and watch the how much water they're getting. All right. Okay. Once again, those of you who are watching live, your questions are the priority. I've got questions all day long I can answer from other outlets, but your questions are the priority. So if you decide to ask a question, please, your questions will be answered in the order that I receive them live. All right, let's keep going. Is there any way to have my dog who hates water to actually enjoy it? I've had her since she was 6 weeks old. Yeah, most dogs can learn to like it. Um, I've only ever had one dog who just, no matter what you did, refused. But sometimes it's cool to pick a very hot day, make the dog a little bit hot. Um, or not make the dog, just walk the dog, and then bring it to some water. Okay, so there's life vests that for medium to big size dogs that you should get, and then you want to get in the water with the dog, but you do have to make the dog get in the water. Sometimes you have to give them that little extra push in order for them to realize what they could potentially like, and let them feel that cold, cool water after a nice hot day, so they can really, again, feel the contrast of being nice and cooled down by this wonderful water. And you be there with them, teach them how to swim. You can put your two arms below their belly, guide them through, keep the sessions short, and yeah, that's how you can get them to kind of get used to it. There's places that have dog pools that will help you out too nowadays. Maybe one day I'll be able to do that. I'll have a place that I can have a big old dock diving pool. All right, we got a question live. I have a foster dog that was adopted and returned due to have stranger issues and had nipped someone in an aggressive. Hold on. Let me read the rest of this question. Uh, Nipped someone in an aggressive way and then tried to enter the home. When they tried to enter the home, he didn't have these issues at all before he was adopted out. So I'm not sure what caused the change in the behavior. In the 4 weeks he was out of my home, I have found how to work through it in the home, with proper slow introductions, and he does fine with everyone after that. And I have no worries. We had to go to the vet this week, and it was our first time out around that many strangers since he's been returned. He was uncomfortable and fearful from the moment we walked into the door, and ended up needing to be muzzled for the exam. What are things I can do to help make the next visit less stressful and to help him continue to work through these issues? Um, the dog just needs time, and the dog just needs those situations um, have happen without the things that he thinks is going to happen, if that makes sense. So obviously he has trouble with strangers. Okay, so when you're out in public, don't let strangers come up to him. When you're at the vet, don't let strangers come to him. Even the vet should not say hi to the dog. It's just my opinion, but the dog has a problem with strangers, and strangers, for the moment, need to him need to seem like not a big deal. He needs a break from strangers. Um, and so the vet's office, keep muzzling them, keep taking them. And again, if nothing happens that the dog in its mind thinks is going to happen, then that's a victory. That's one more notch towards becoming comfortable with what the dog is fearful of. You can speed up the process by really being the dog's leader, being more important to the dog than the environment. If the environment means more to the dog than you, then the dog is sort of eligible to the environment becoming making the dog insecure. But if you mean more than the environment, then the environment is the transition of him becoming secure and safe will be much faster. Does that make sense? So the dog just needs time. Seems like you are doing the right things. Just stick with what you're doing and give it enough time. All right. Thank you for your question. And feel free to ask another. Okay. Hey, Jeremy. Sonny has a bad habit of nipping at hands. He's not doing it to be mean, just playful. Even when you tell him to stop, he continues until we yell at him, until we yell or tell him to firmly stop. He's obsessed with hands. What can we do to get him to stop? So when you yell at him, it's not enough. Your correction, which is right now yelling, your that correction needs to be more than what it currently is if he's still doing it. No behavior at any point in any dog's life should be obsessive. If no matter if it's harmful or not, if your dog is being obsessive with anything, it is our responsibility to stop it because obsession can create irritable, aggressive reactions, and we don't want that. Or, in other words, the dog just being sassy. So change the way that you correct the dog so that the dog actually takes you serious enough to reconsider its actions. And it may need a tougher correction. Just being honest. Okay. So I had to respond to a question about how or what to do if a puppy is biting you with its sharp teeth, what to do and how to stop it. Okay, Let's just be reminded, folks, that in a dog's mind, if they can do something to you that gets their way somehow, some way, even if it's just your negative attention, they're going to do it. Sometimes you have to become irritated enough to tell the dog no in a way where it does get the dog to say, "Whoa, okay, that's not worth it." Just like the mother would teach a puppy bite inhibition. So let's talk about bite inhibition for a second. So that means how hard or how soft a puppy can bite. If the dog, if the puppy is with the mother long enough, the mother will teach the dog how to be respectful. And the mother will bite the puppy back if the puppy is biting too hard. So essentially, teaching the puppy what's right and what's wrong. The mother is saying, "You'll get this if you bite this hard. You won't get it if you don't." That's it. Biting this hard is uncomfortable. Ouch. You're going to get this back. And that way, the puppy almost can develop empathy. It's like, oh, I know how it feels to bite that hard. Better not bite that hard. As opposed to a puppy who's pulled from a mother way too young and just bites hard because they've never been bitten hard. So when I suggested that that may be the solution, the person took it as they were in disbelief, and I was like, "No, I'm I'm serious. That's how things go. It doesn't matter if it's a puppy to a mom. It can be a dog just learning how to be social. You know, if a young pup learns, if if a young puppy learns that mounting or humping is inappropriate, the dog teaching them is going to yell at them. Hey, stop doing that. You know, so they're going to learn what's okay and what's not, and that's the same approach we should take. We have to tell them that that's not okay, and depending on the dog, you may need a lot less, or you may need more, depending on the breed, depending on the dog, depending on the size of the dog. Some dogs are very headstrong, and some dogs aren't. Some dogs are sensitive care bears, but some dogs are bulls. And so, in order to effectively learn, we'll have to learn what works for our own dogs and what doesn't work. That's living with a dog in a nutshell. All right. Getting your dog to respect you takes a little effort. Getting a dog to like you really doesn't take much other than feeding the dog, giving it treats, giving it a belly roll. That doesn't take much effort. Okay, well, let's keep going. My YouTube channel might cut off because my computer may die on me, but we're going to keep going. Hey, listen. need my charger. Okay, next question. What is the safest, most effective way to get our dog on the treadmill? I've looked online and felt overwhelming trying to do it with him, or me getting hurt, or without him or me getting hurt. I am a runner and use a treadmill daily, and he will often lay behind the treadmill, so he is used to seeing it, hearing it, just not being on it. Um, so kind of going back to my swimming question. Sometimes it some dogs that who are apprehensive about the treadmill, you you kind of got to work past that initial I don't want to do this. Um, and once you work past that initial I don't want to do this, then they actually like to do it. And it doesn't take that long. They must again, it's important and or it can make it very easy on the dog if the dog does, sort of listen to you, or better yet, is your is not your equal, looks to you as a leader as opposed to its equal. Um so again, use the leash, act like you're walking a dog, stay beside the dog, stay beside the dog with the leash in your hand for the first 10 minutes, and talk to the dog, and try to work to loose leash on the treadmill, but work through the initial freak out if that's what you're struggling with. All right. Next question. Liz, you know where my charger is? My computer charger? Computer charger. Okay, we added a lab puppy to our family in October, and he randomly gets aggressive towards our 3-year-old female lab. It could be over food or a treat or a toy or just as she walks past. How do we address this? How old's your puppy? What's the gender of your puppy? Give me a little bit more so I can give you a little bit more direction. I don't know where it went. Okay. Let me plug this in before my computer dies on me. There we go. Much better. 7 months old male. Hmm. Okay, so an easy way to address this is addressing the walking past bull crap. I just had to tell a client of mine today about their border collie um, being rude and in a sort of like smaller way, which led to aggression. And the rude behavior was the border collie would constantly sniff this dog that it lived with. It's like, why are you continuing to sniff the butt, and why are you continuing to sniff the penis? You know who that dog is. That's like only behavior you should be displaying for the most part with dogs you just meet. Like you're being a butthole, when you're constantly doing that. And so you can go ahead and discipline that dog for doing those small little things like when your dog or just even the eye contact when your dog is when your female lab is walking past. It's like your that 7-month-old puppy does not get to dictate anything that goes on in your house. It's too young. It's like the dog shouldn't even think it's okay to do that, to fight, to get toy aggressive, to get food aggressive, to get treat aggressive or anything like that. So you'll have to convince that puppy that that's what the deal is. It's it's your guys' house and they are the kids, they are the dogs, and there are rules that they'll have to abide by. So, yeah, your puppy could be just being a typical young punk of a male, but that doesn't mean the dog can't be respectful of the other dog through your leadership. And so you can help the dog with the aggression by following through with your day-to-day commands with the dog in general. It seems like she cowers, and then that's when he gets aggressive. Well, the dog shouldn't be cowering because you guys should be advocating for the dog, for the female lab. Get on that dog's butt. Get on that male's that 7-month-old male's case about doing that. Also, he's getting neutered next Friday. Could that help? I mean, maybe, but maybe not. I wouldn't suggest neutering the dog so young. Here's what I suggest. I would suggest getting the dog to listen to you and see how that helps. Don't let that young male take advantage of the old female. May not help. Neutering may not help. I don't think that people should run to that as a solution. Oh, my dog is misbehaving and hyper. Let's neuter him. Well, it's not always the best solution. All right, let's keep it moving. What age do you recommend? A year? How do you stop a dog from jumping into the front seat the minute you get out of the vehicle, asking for a friend? Are you really asking for a friend? Um, put a crate in the car. Crate the dog while it's in the car. That's one. Or you can use the seat belt to tie the dog to the back seat. But those are my only two suggestions. I think people should be crating their dogs while they're in the vehicles. They used to be able to. It used to be okay to put dogs in the back of trucks. which in my opinion is almost as bad as allowing the dog to have free roam of the car. Because if you get in a crash, the dog's going to be going through the windshield anyway. So the safest way, but the less, but people want to show off their dog. That's the problem. People want their dog to be out of the window and their gums are flapping and their ears are flapping because, oh, the dog looks so cute. It's so happy and it's so cute. I mean, I get it. It is cute, but the safest way is to put the dog in a crate while traveling. All right. Our dog immediately barks when we let him outside, no matter if someone or something is out there. We have a fenced in yard. How do we work on this excessive and unnecessary barking? If we are out there with him, he doesn't do this same sort of barking. So, just like my earlier question, my earlier suggestion is you have to be able to communicate with the dog. You have to be able to reach the dog while you're away from the dog. Well, first of all, you have to be able to reach the dog while you're there to have a chance to reach the dog while you're not. And the best way, the best tool is to use the e-collar. The electric collar allows you to be away like like a half mile away from the dog and be able to communicate with the dog. All you got to do is distract the dog with a low level electronic stimulation or a vibration. But the dog's mindset um, needs to be interrupted while it's doing that excessive and unnecessary barking to be able to see that the barking is unnecessary. So again, you'll have to reach the dog somehow, some way, while it's barking. And that correction, the way that you reach them, will have to be good enough to get the dog to pause and think as opposed to blowing you off. You'll have to add value to your word quiet, stop barking, no bark, whatever you use, because right now it has no value. So the tools are there to add the value. All right. Thank you for your question. Why is our pup so interested in cat litter feces? Because your cat food is smells good. I don't know. Dogs are interested in poop, some more than others. Sometimes switching up the cat food may help. Um, because my dogs are very interested in dogs poop um, whose diet is raw. So you may want to try that. Otherwise, I don't really know. All right, moving on. We have a min. Oh, I already answered that one. We have an almost, yep, answered that one. All right. Okay, guys, as a reminder, here's a couple of rules. This is something that I was talking about with a couple of people. So it's kind of been a reoccurring theme this week. But when you are socializing your dog, say you have a dog that's not social, say it's your dog that's not social, and you want to get the dog to be more social, but Um, it tends to guard you. It tends to get aggressive when you're around, and when you're not around, maybe it doesn't. So that just tells you that you have to get out of the equation the best way possible. So a really good way to introduce dogs is to take all dogs for a walk, but an off leash walk if you can help it. And where the humans take a walk around a perimeter, no touching the dogs, no eye contact, so that the humans can have sort of a separate conversation and being indifferent to the dogs. And when that happens, the dogs really get a chance to see what's up, so to speak, away from the humans. So I just was talking to someone who wanted to introduce a 7-month old aggressive German Shepherd puppy, dog aggressive German Shepherd puppy, to two other German Shepherds. And the puppy would get aggressive um, around its territory, its parent owner. And so um, I said, I bet if there was no humans, if the humans went into the house, then that could be a way where they could all get along. Because the puppy just needs to sort of get that push out of the door. Some dogs do way better away from their owner when it comes to strangers and dogs. And so my second solution was once again to have the owners walk around the perimeter of the yard, no touching, no talking, no eye contact, and all the dogs are going to follow. But the constant movement keeps the dogs from becoming protective, if you want to call it that, resource aggressive, if you want to call it that. So it's a really effective way to get dogs used to each other. So you may want to try it. It's worked for me for a long time. All right, you guys, those of you who are watching, please feel free to ask your questions, as many as you like. And again, know that your question is going to help people who may be struggling with the same question. If your question is something that I have never heard of or answered before, or it actually, in fact, won't help other people, I will say that. I will say, man, never heard that question before. Chances are this question won't help others because I have never heard this question before. But that is not likely because we are on episode 147. So I've done this 147 times plus more because I didn't start numbering them until I don't know. But I've been doing this for since 2011. Uh I've been doing kind of like these Q&As since 2011. And I like to engage with folks or have be available to people who just may need a little bit of different perspective. All right. Well, let's see. Well, I guess we can end it there then. Nobody has any questions. Uh, okay, check it out, guys. We'll be here next week. It'll probably be Thursday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'll let you guys know. But come with your questions. Please give me a thumbs up or a heart or like or whatever. Excuse me. If you liked it, I really appreciate you guys watching, and we'll be here next week. Good night.